There's a good reason that dual screen handhelds are so popular. You can do anything with these things. You can play old retro games like Nintendo and Super Nintendo. You can use them to scratch your butt, GameCube and PS2, tell them your deepest secrets and desires, Nintendo DS and 3DS, Paperweight, Switch, Plate, Steam games, emotional support. These things can do basically anything. And by anything, I mean, you know what I mean. Anything. Hey there, how's it going? I'm TechDweeb, welcome. Thanks for clicking on the video today. Dual screen retro handhelds. We love them for so many reasons. Obviously all the dumb jokey things that I said in the intro, and obviously for dual screen games like DS and 3DS, yeah, obviously those games work best on dual screen devices, but there's a lot of other hidden superpowers that dual screen doodads can give you. For starters, most of the dual screen doodads are also flippy screen doodads. The screens flip down, which makes them very travel friendly because all the sensitive bits are covered up. It's like they have a built-in case kind of thing. Also, even if you're not playing dual screen games, you can still use that second screen for other stuff while you're gaming. Most dual screen devices have some built-in software that lets you use that second screen as like a little mini control panel, you know, to launch your apps and change device settings on the fly or whatever. And all these dual screen doodads are Android devices, which means that you get a second screen to do anything really. Open up a browser window to pull up walkthroughs or doom scroll, or watch a YouTube video or some Netflix while you chill, or play a second game while you play your main game. Double games, that's what the cool kids are doing these days. We love doing that. That's the best part about dual screen doodads for me, that they do so much and they're so convenient. So very convenient. It feels like we've had these things forever, but it hasn't been that long. Before like less than a year ago, the very idea of a dual screen handheld would have been absurd. If you had said that we'd have a whole bunch of great dual screen handheld options by early 2026, you probably would have been declared a witch and have been burned at the stake. Early 2025 was dark. Dark times, man. Still dark times in many ways. The darkness never left. Well, hopefully brighter days ahead. And on that happy thought, dual screen handhelds are actually a thing now. We have not just one, but several decent options. I made some videos sorta recently about the best vertical handhelds, and the best horizontal handhelds, and the best flippy screen handhelds. And I wanted to make one about the best dual screen handhelds, but there just weren't enough at the time. We do have enough now. Not a ton, but a handful to pick from, so in this video today, I'm just going to show you all of them. And to make it a bit more spicy, I'm going to rank them in order of my least favorite up to my favorite. But just because I ranked one doodad lower, that doesn't mean it's not good. Maybe it's good for the price, or maybe it would be something that you'd prefer. This is just one dweeb's opinion, but I gotta follow my heart, and my heart tells me that my least favorite dual screen handheld is the OneX Sugar 1. This was actually the first dedicated dual screen Android handheld that we got, and even though it's lowest on my list, it's still super interesting. It might actually be a good choice for you if you want the very specific thing that this does, which is this. It's a transformer. You can put it in horizontal mode and use it like a switch, or have a second pop-up screen mode, or even use the handles like this if you're a psychopath, or put it in full dual screen mode. The software isn't as elegant as it could be. This was like a first attempt, and they solved some problems that seemed unsolvable at the time. However, it is a very weird handheld. It's rough around the edges. It looks cool, but it doesn't feel super high quality, and even though it has lots of different modes you can use it in, none of them are as comfy as just using other devices that do those things better. This one is more of a tinkerer's device. If you want something that does stuff that no other handheld does, and some pretty useful software if you want to set it up in unique ways and control the experience, this is certainly a choice. Before we go farther, I want to give a quick shout out to original hardware, the Nintendo DS and the 2DS and the 3DS. those doodads are still available. You can still find them, either on your local market, or eBay, or even AliExpress. They sell refurbished and reshelled DSs of all sorts over there. Definitely not the cheapest things, and you'll be dealing with needing a flash card or buying your games. The screens aren't nice and modern, and you don't get the conveniences and magic of emulation. You won't be playing frickin' Nintendo Switch or whatever on a DS or a 3DS. But arguably, if you just want to play DS and 3DS, original hardware is the way to go. My favorite picks for these are the DS Lite. I have the black one and the white one. The black one's my favorite. I have an R4 card with that. And for 3DS, I like the 2DS slab version. Mine is the sea green color. I have that hacked so I can add games to an SD card. And I also have another R4 card in there full of DS games. Hacking a 3DS is a fun little project too. Totally worth doing. You can get access to homebrew games and be able to add your backups to the device, so you can have all your games with you on the go. It's easy too. Totally worth doing if you have one of these things. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but you can look it up and follow the steps. I believe in you, buddy. I actually don't play with these things very often though, because, I just prefer emulation at this point. Emulation is magic. And speaking of magic, this is the MagicX Zero 40. And this thing isn't technically a dual screen doodad, it's a single vertical screen, so I'm not going to talk about it for too long, but I need to mention it here because this is a really good device for Nintendo DS. If you're looking for something unique that does vertical arcade good and great Nintendo DS, this is a solid choice in my opinion. This is also the cheapest doodad on this list. It's like $50 right now from MagicX. And I'll toss a link to all this stuff in the thingy below, by the way, and my video reviews. If you want to know what this thing or any of these things do, watch my videos because I give you the grand tour there. This video is just like a little crash course on each of these things. And the Zero 40 is a special little guy. I really like this, but it's here because it's the cheap option. $50. For that price, getting a good Nintendo DS emulation doodad that does other stuff too might be worth thinking about if this might scratch the dual screen itch without actually having a dual screen. This is the Retroid DS, the Retroid dual screen add-on. And this one, actually they stopped selling this, I think. You can't get it from Retroid anymore. I don't know if they're going to be restocking this or not, but I don't think it was a very popular product. And I don't think many people who got one really loved it. I did like it. I liked it a lot, actually. I thought it was a neat idea to add a second screen to a device you already had. I wish they did a better job of designing this. It was kind of janky and the big honking cable wasn't very elegant, so I understand why people didn't love it. I'm putting it in the middle of this list because it was like the first way that most of us in this hobby got to experience dual screens on our devices. So it deserves recognition for that. And it was good for what it was, but nothing amazing. It was a fine way to experience dual screen stuff, but probably not worth having this on your doodad permanently if you're not doing dual screen stuff. Next up, we have the newest device on this list, Amberlick's attempt at a dual screen doodad, the RGDS. So as you can see, this is Amberlick attempting to make something that is very, very, very reminiscent of the DS Lite, at least in appearance. It's not the same size, but that's actually a good thing because the RGDS has much bigger screens than the original DS. I'm getting ahead of myself though. So the big picture here is that the RGDS, this is a budget take on the dual screen Android handheld. This thing is under $100. It's not the most powerful thing on this list. It doesn't have the best screens or performance for high-end stuff, but honestly, for $100, it's solid. You get two 3.5-inch screens that dwarf the size of the screens on the DS Lite. You get enough power to play all the DS games with upscaled 3D graphics if you're into that. You can use an Android stylus for a more authentic DS experience that, it's fine. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. You get enough power to play up to PS1 with no problem, and some N64 and Dreamcast and PSP as well. Not everything from those higher end systems, but a good bit of it. And of course, you get the dual screen goodness on the lower screen. All that extra stuff like being able to read game manuals or watch videos or whatever while you play. So like for $100, this lovely, well-built flippy doodad that looks like a DS Lite that does all the DS stuff you could want want and some extra stuff on top, that's a solid choice if you want to get the dual screen experience on a budget. Of course, you should probably spend more if you have more to spend, and this isn't good enough for what you want to do. If you want to play like Switch or PC games or even 3DS, don't even bother considering this. But like, if you're into retro stuff and you want a dual screen handheld, this might be the perfect bang for the buck for your needs. And now we come to the final two devices, the Ayn Thor and the Ayaneo Pocket DS. And this was honestly hard to choose between them, which one I was going to put at the top spot. I want them both to win. I love these things. I made a tier list video recently and I put the Thor above the Pocket DS. And I almost immediately regretted doing that because the Pocket DS is just as good as the Thor. Better in some ways. It's just that the Thor fit my needs better. But after doing some soul searching and reconsidering my judgment, I've decided that the second best dual screen handheld is the Ayaneo Pocket DS. Yeah, I was right the first time. The Thor wins for me. However, I will say that it's very close. And maybe for you, the Pocket DS will be the better choice. They're both just about equal in the big picture in terms of pros and cons, so there's a lot of personal preference here. The Pocket DS is so well made. Ayaneo really knocked it out of the park with this thing. It easily beats out the Thor in terms of build quality. This thing is a freaking tank. It's got a solid heft to it. The screen has a metal casing on the outside. The hinge isn't segmented, it's a smooth movement hinge and it's firm and sturdy no matter where you put it. And even though it's a bit on the big side, it is still just within the pocketable range, depending on your pants, I guess. Don't try to pocket this if you're wearing skinny jeans though. You'd probably die. Inside, we get a lovely, spacious gaming experience. The controls are nice and big and full-sized, low-profile D-pad and buttons, but they feel great to use. Recessed sticks with a great range of movement, a couple of huge screens as you can see. This screen down here is 5 inches, 3:2 aspect ratio. It's just an LCD though, not OLED, which is a bit of a bummer, but not terrible or anything. We have a whole host of controls down here too for anything you could want to do on the fly. Up top, we have a massive 7-inch OLED screen. This goes up to 165 Hz refresh rate. Like, what? Ayaneo did a fine job with their system too. The control panel is, yeah, it's good. It's useful. You have access to what you need and it's a tad bit rough around the edges, but it all works really well. No huge complaints from me. However, one of the best things about all Ayaneo devices is that they give you a ton of control over your CPU and your GPU. You can basically tweak anything about the performance to make this thing work exactly the way you want, if you want to. For example, I like running the GPU at the max frequency to get better performance in my PC games and Switch games too. Any GPU dependent task will be improved by using this. And speaking of that, we have a Snapdragon G3X Gen 2 chip in here, so we have access to the custom turnip GPU drivers, so we get amazing compatibility for Switch and PC games via GameHub. Enough juice to run some seriously impressive emulation tasks. And we have a huge battery here, 8,000 milliamp hours. So depending on what you're playing, this can be a multi-day device on a single charge. I personally prefer the Thor, but I only by a tiny amount. Some days I actually prefer the Ayaneo DS. Luckily, I have them both, so I can just choose whichever one I want. But for you, if you don't want to buy them both, you'll have to make the call. And when it comes to making the call, I think that the vast majority of people in the handheld community have made the call that the Thor is the one they want. And I fully understand that. If I could only pick one, the Thor is the one I'd choose too. It's just, it's a shame that the Pocket DS gets a little bit ignored because it's so good. So I highly suggest you consider both if you're looking for something like this. The Thor has a bit of secret sauce though. There's a bit of mystique about the Thor that sets it apart from everything really. I've read many people's comments where they say the Ayn Thor is the best handheld ever made. And yeah, maybe I agree with that. I'm not sure because some days it's my favorite and some days it isn't, but I do keep coming back to it. I basically can't put this thing down. So I tried to think of all the reasons that I keep reaching for this thing, and I think I have the most important stuff identified. The first is the size and shape. The Ayaneo Pocket DS is a big, comfy thing with ergonomic humps, but that makes it a lot less portable and also less grabbable. Like, I can easily just grab my Thor because it's such a neat little thing. It's a lot more DS-like in that regard. And I have the grip for the Thor. So when I want a more comfy experience with ergonomics, I can just slap that on there and suddenly it feels big and cozy. The Thor is also worlds apart in terms of pocketability. This thing is easily pocketable. Another thing that sets the Thor apart is the dual OLED screens. The top screen on the Thor is 6 inches and the bottom screen is 4 inches, but the bottom screen is OLED here. And it's that lovely 9:10 ratio screen that I fell in love with on the Ayaneo DMG. So it feels like a perfect match to have a 6-inch 16:9 OLED screen up here and also the awesome 4-inch OLED screen down here. And the Thor has better system software. I prefer the Ayn option menus better and the way they handle multitasking. For example, they have extra stuff like the ability to use the lower touchscreen as a keyboard. Fewer options compared to the Pocket DS, but it's just cleaner and more elegant here on the Thor. And of course, you get the performance you need. This is a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 here, so you can play basically the same stuff on here. You'll get all the GameCube and PS2, you'll get all but the highest end Switch, you'll get a ton of great PC games running. The secret sauce here is, I think, the sum of its parts. It's how lovely it is just to pick up and hold and use, and how well it works, and how good the games look, and how cute it is, all that stuff together. That's, I think, why this one wins the hearts of more people. Well, that's it. That's all I have to say about these things. All these dual screen doodads that are actually very different from each other. Different sizes and shapes, different features, different strengths and weaknesses, different prices. So like, lucky you, you have so many choices. Finally, we went from having no dual screen doodads to having a whole bunch of them to pick from. And I highly doubt that this is the end. I made a video recently about my retro tech predictions for 2026, and one of my predictions was that Retroid would make a dual screen doodad. And I can see other companies doing it too. Maybe MagicX or Powkiddy or even Miu. They could make one. Why not, right? So time will tell, and maybe in a year or two I'll need to make a new video like this, when there's a whole bunch of new options to pick from. But that's fine. I don't mind putting in the work so you get the info you need. I'm kind of a hero, if you think about it. But now it's your turn. Let's hear your thoughts on this. Which dual screen doodad stole your heart? Which one do you love? Which do you hate? Which are you strongly indifferent about? I'd love to know what's in your brain about this stuff in the comments below. Anyways, that'll do it from me for today. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.